What's good, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another creative musical idea for you, and we're going to be taking a look at vocal chops. Let's check it out. So welcome back to the channel, Chris here. So like I said, we're going to be diving into the world of vocal chops today. I've been making a lot of electronic music lately. Not really the standard that you're used to on this channel, but I grew up listening to a lot of electronic music in my early teens, pretty much up until I moved to the UK. And recently I found myself falling in love with it again, making a lot of electronic music. So I thought vocal chops seems very appropriate because I'm hearing it in a lot of modern music, and it's something I quite like doing myself. I made a song the other day where I was just introducing it, so I thought, let's try it. I've got a beat that I just started making today, something for us to experiment with. I've got us a couple of vocals from Splice, Ye Old Faithful, and we're gonna dive into maybe some techniques and see how we can go about using it. Let me grab my headphones and we'll kick off. But before, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And with that said, let's crack on. Okay, so that's the vibe of the beat we're going for today. Now, like I said, I've sourced some vocals we can use. You can see there's a vocal chop I've kind of pre-prepped here, but we'll get into that a bit later. We're going to start, they're the same loop anyway. So when I was making this beat, I felt like a vocal that kind of sounded like something a bit like someone who doesn't really give a shit. I came across this sample which sounds like this. I'm going to play it with the beat.
Hey, new phone, who this? I'ma pull up in a brand new whip. You go try me, that's real stupid. Go all out, it's all I do, babe.
So it was basically right up the street I was looking. So we've got this sample. You can see I've put it into simpler here, and we're going to talk about how we can go about slicing this up. I have gone the manual route where you can just stick the audio directly into Ableton and just chop it up, and it's a lot more time consuming, but you can be very precise with the edits. I like to look at it more from a playing background. I really like to jam sounds and just physically play them. So what I end up doing is I'll stick it in a simpler, chuck on slice, and maybe I'll play with the sensitivity, or I'll move this onto a beat and then it's evenly spaced. And I just like to, whether it's on the keyboard here, whether it's there, or I can do it on the keyboard here, it just keeps the options a lot more flowing for me. And so you might have heard on this sample, I've actually shifted it down an octave. I feel like for this style, that's putting it more in the world where I want it to sound. You get the vibe. But even just repeating one word or one syllable or whatever it may be, in electronic music, I find it to be really powerful. So let's just try that and see what happens if we just chop up one word. We're expanding the idea. We can see we can get a couple more things flowing here. I also have a different sample which we can experiment, but before I do, I'm just going to show how I chopped up this sample. It's a little bit repetitive, but just to get the idea onto paper or onto Ableton, it just gives me something I can visualize and jam to. Let's try it an octave down. So a little idea for us to play with. Now, if I had to go into this second sample I've got here, it's a lot more kind of UK garage style sample.
I can't wait to kick it with you. I just want to spend the whole night.
And you can hear we've actually got some delay effects thrown in there. So when you have something like this,
With you.
I can actually play those physical delays, which is quite nice. So I can actually use that as my own form of like a delay throw in the slice. We can be a bit more creative with it. So let's hear, I'm gonna mute the other vocal chop. Let's hear what we can do with this. So that's at least opening up the chop. You know, it can go all over the keyboard. I quite like the fact that you can play it through it, or you can play it more random and sporadic and just see what happens. Get the idea. So we can be a bit more extensive with this. Now, I haven't really touched any of the pitching besides putting it an octave down, or the warping besides that. I feel like in this context I want to leave warping on because I like it being in time. Once I turn warping off, if we change the pitch at all, we're going to be pushing the time all over the place. So let's see if I push it down. I mean, it's alright. Let's try. I'll keep the warp on. Maybe pull this down. Because I do like the warp besides it keeping time. When I keep the warp mode on Complex Pro and I play with the formants, I can either get that really deep voice, or I can find the middle ground where it's like that would almost be as close to humanly an octave down as possible, but I can find a nice middle ground. You get the idea. I actually forgot to mention, going back into that first sample as well, this one.
Hey, new phone, who this?
If we use the pitch bend, you can hear.
Hey, new phone, who this? I'ma pull up in a brand new whip. You go try.
We can obviously control the pitch, and it's pretty smooth. I've got the pitch bend range here, so I can push it up to 12 if I really want to get that full octave. I'm just type it in. Get that full octave bend.
Hey, new phone, who this? I'ma pull up in a brand new whip.
And that's pretty cool because if I'm just in this mode, I've got it in classic mode, which means each note I play is going to keep the length the same, but the pitch different. And it's only keeping the length the same because we've got that warp mode on. So I could do this. It's playing at the same speed, but just different pitches. So if I play them together. But it also gives us access to the pitch control. And then we can really get something interesting. But I do just like the idea of this is only playing the sample from the start. But, you know, we're getting more of that vocal choppy style, which I'm really digging. So let me get a bit of reverb on here. Okay, let's try now. I'll keep it on that lower octave and we'll just play around.
New phone, who this? New phone, who this?
Man, reverb and delay go a long way.
New phone, who this?
I really like what it's adding, putting that sample in a really lovely atmosphere. And to me, it just feels like it blends so much better with the track because now it feels a bit more processed, like it's a bit more of something going on. Even though we're just playing the same note most of the time and the sample isn't necessarily changing too much. I would like to try a little bit of manual chopping. I'm going to use that second sample we have, this one. Bam. That kind of UK garage one. Let me go fetch the sample. It's not necessarily a shame, but the sample actually goes pretty nicely with the track, so chopping it up feels a bit obscure, but let's try some manual chopping and see what we can come out with. Okay, we got a little chop going on here. Now, I ended up basically creating a new track underneath and just dragging bits underneath that I thought I would use. Most of the sample was this Kick It sample.
kick it.
I thought it was quite nice. It was pretty good when I repeated it as well throughout. So what I realized the benefit of working with an audio slice is, as opposed to using one of the simplers, is that I can actually go through and take a certain chop and pitch it up or down separately from using the actual simpler. So I could have something like this.
Kick it with you.
And that gives you a little bit more freedom, safe to say, when it comes with being really creative with this style of thing. So this is what we came up with, basically.
Every night.
And so there you have it. That's pretty much how I would go about working with vocal chops. There's a lot of different ways we can go about chopping up these vocals, and these are some of my favorites. So if you enjoyed this video, maybe you learned something, let us know in the comment section below. If you have your own technique about vocal chopping, I'd love to know. Maybe we can discuss it in the comment section. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe. The support really helps, and thank you to anyone who's already done so. Once again, I've been Chris Vella, and I'll see you guys on the next one.